Baby, I got a surprise for you tonight, my husband said. And I just smiled. Because while he was carrying those grocery bags into the kitchen, I saw that message light up on his phone. Added everything like you asked. It'll start working right away. Oh, Marcus. Tonight? You gon' remember this night forever too. Believe that. Now, before I get into all of this, let me tell y'all something, life will back you into a corner sometimes. And when it does, you either save yourself or you disappear in that corner. My name is Ania Brooks. I'm 42 years old. And this is the story of how my husband of 15 years tried to kill me, and how I made sure he didn't. It was a Friday evening in late November. The kind of Atlanta evening where the sky turns that burnt orange color right before it goes dark, and you can smell somebody's grill going somewhere down the street. I was climbing the stairs to our apartment on the third floor of this old brick building in West End, you know the kind, been there since the 70s, creaky stairs but good bones. I had a Tupperware container in my hand. Mama's sweet potato pie and some of her famous fried chicken. I'd spent the whole afternoon at her place over in Cascade, helping her sort through old boxes in her spare room. Photo albums, Daddy's old records, Christmas decorations we hadn't used in years. You know how mamas are, the whole time she was giving me advice. Ania, baby, you working too hard. You need to rest. You look tired. Ania, you eating enough? You getting too skinny. Ania, when y'all gon' come to church with me? Pastor Williams asked about you last Sunday. I just nodded and yes mimed my way through it, same as always. That's what you do. That's what love looks like sometimes, just letting your mama fuss over you because it makes her feel needed. When I was leaving, she pressed that container into my hands. Take this to Marcus. Tell him to eat some real food instead of all that takeout you'll be ordering. I kissed her cheek, told her I loved her, and headed home. Soon as I put my key in the lock, I knew something was different. The apartment smelled good. Not like our usual, stale coffee and whatever was left in the fridge. No, this was something else. Fresh. Floral. Like somebody had actually cleaned and lit one of those fancy candles. In the hallway, there were 2 big shopping bags from Kroger. I could see wine bottles poking out of one, fresh vegetables in the other. I slipped off my shoes, stood real still, and listened. From the kitchen, the sound of pots clanking, water running, a knife hitting a cutting board. And was Marcus humming? Babe? You home? I called out, walking deeper into the apartment. And here he came, stepping out of the kitchen with this big ol' smile on his face. Marcus, my husband, looking like a whole different person. He had on that gray Howard sweatshirt I bought him years ago, sleeves pushed up, a dish towel thrown over his shoulder. He walked right up to me, wrapped his arms around me, and kissed me on my forehead. Hey, beautiful. You're back. How's Mama Jean doing? She good? His voice was warm. Tender. Like it used to be. Like it hadn't been in a long, long time. I pulled back, looked at him. Really looked. See, for the past 6 months, Marcus had been a ghost in this apartment. Coming home late, eating dinner in front of the TV without saying 2 words to me, then disappearing into his home office to finish up some work. We didn't talk, not really. We didn't touch. We didn't laugh together, didn't watch movies curled up on the couch like we used to. We were roommates. Strangers sharing a bed. And now here he was, all smiles and sweetness, acting like the man I married. Mama's fine, I said slowly, handing him the container. She sent you some food. Fried chicken and pie. Oh, bless her heart. He took it, peeked inside, grinned even wider. Mama Jean's chicken? That's sacred right there. But listen, baby, tonight is special. I'm cooking for you. A real dinner, like old times. You just relax. I got this. Special? I raised an eyebrow, shrugging off my jacket. What's the occasion? No occasion. He winked at me. Can't a man just want to do something nice for his wife? Tonight's about us, Ania. I want you to be happy. I got a surprise for you later. He kissed me again, on the lips this time, quick and light, and headed back to the kitchen, still humming. I stood there in the hallway, watching him go. And something in my spirit said, this ain't right. Now look, it's not that I didn't believe Marcus could be romantic. Once upon a time, that man was smooth. When we first met, at a friend's birthday party over in Buckhead, he was all charm. Tall, dark-skinned, with these deep brown eyes that crinkled when he smiled. He worked in real estate development, had a good job, drove a nice car. He opened doors for me, pulled out chairs, sent me flowers at work just because it was Tuesday. We got married after a year of dating. Big wedding at Mama's church, reception at this beautiful venue in Midtown. I wore my grandmother's pearls. He cried when he saw me walk down the aisle. Those first years? They were good. We were building something. Saving up to buy a house, talking about the future, dreaming about babies. But the babies never came. After 2 years of trying, I went to the doctor. Found out I had some issues, medical stuff I won't get into. Bottom line, having children wasn't going to be easy for me. Maybe not possible at all. I remember sitting Marcus down, telling him through tears. And he held my hands, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, "Baby, I married you. Not some future kids. We're a family, just the two of us. That's enough for me." And I believed him. I really did. But something shifted after that. Slowly, like a door closing inch by inch. He got quieter. More distant. Threw himself into work. The late nights started. The short answers. The way he'd look at me sometimes, like he was calculating something in his head. I told myself it was stress. The economy. His job. Men process things differently, right? That's what I told myself. But deep down, I knew. Something had changed in him. Something had broken. I walked into the living room, sank down onto the couch. My head was spinning a little, just tired, I told myself. Long day. I closed my eyes, tried to relax. From the kitchen, I could hear Marcus working, oil sizzling in a pan, the rhythmic chop-chop-chop of a knife. "Ania, just rest, baby," he called out. "Tonight, you're the queen and I'm your personal chef. Don't even think about getting up." I almost smiled. Almost. And then I saw his phone. It was sitting right there on the coffee table. He always did that, left it lying around when he went to the kitchen or the bathroom. Usually, I never touched it. That's not who I am. I believe in privacy, in trust, in not going through your partner's things like some paranoid fool. But something made me look. The screen lit up with a notification. A text from a number with no name saved. Added everything like you asked. It'll start working right away. I read it once. Then again. Then a third time, my heart beating faster with each pass. Added everything. Added what? To what? It'll start working right away. What would start working? I picked up the phone carefully. The screen went dark, asking for a passcode. But I'd already memorized those words. They were burned into my brain now. "Ania, you want some tea, baby? Or maybe some wine?" I flinched, set the phone back down exactly where it was. "Tea is fine, thank you," I called back, keeping my voice steady. But inside? Inside, everything was screaming. I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the street below. The sun had fully set now. Streetlights glowing orange against the dark. Somewhere down the block, kids were still playing, their laughter carrying up through the glass. I caught my reflection in the window. Tired eyes. Hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. 42 years old, looking every bit of it today. What did that message mean? Maybe it was work stuff, I told myself. Marcus dealt with contractors, suppliers, all kinds of people. Maybe someone was confirming a delivery, adding something to a project estimate. Construction people talked like that, right? But why would a work message come to his personal phone? And why that phrasing, "it'll start working right away"? That didn't sound like concrete and permits. That sounded like something else entirely. And that's when my mind started going to dark places. Real dark. The kind of places you don't want to visit, but once you're there, you can't unsee what you see. I'm gonna tell you something about Black women. We are not strangers to survival. It's in our blood, passed down from grandmothers and great-grandmothers who made a way out of no way. We know how to read a room. We know how to sense danger before it announces itself. And when we realize we are in trouble, we don't fall apart. We get strategic. Standing there in that living room, the truth settling into my bones like ice water, I didn't scream. Didn't cry. Didn't run out the door like some fool in a horror movie. No. What I felt rising up in me wasn't fear. It was something colder. Something sharper. Rage. This man I had loved for 15 years, shared a bed with, built a life with, was in that kitchen right now, humming to himself, preparing my death. He'd kissed me on the forehead. Called me beautiful. Talked about surprises and special evenings. And the whole time, he knew. He knew that by the end of the night, I'd be on the floor. Gasping. Dying. And he'd be standing over me, probably calling 911 with fake panic in his voice. My wife just collapsed. I think she's having a heart attack. Then he'd collect the life insurance. Sell the apartment that was in my name, the one my grandmother left me. Start fresh with my money and my death on his hands. But here's the thing, Marcus. You miscalculated. Because I saw that message. And now? Now I know exactly who you are. And I'm not about to let you win. I moved quiet. Smooth. Like I was just going to get some air on the balcony. I slid open the glass door, stepped outside, and closed it behind me soft so he wouldn't hear. The Atlanta skyline spread out in front of me, downtown glittering in the distance, the last streaks of purple fading from the sky. Below, on the street, I could hear kids riding bikes, somebody's car stereo playing old-school R&B, normal life. Normal evening. And here I was, fighting for mine. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to a name I trusted with my life. Tamika. Tamika Jenkins. My girl since Spelman. We pledged the same sorority, cried on each other's shoulders through breakups and losses, stood up in each other's weddings. She was a lawyer now, worked at a firm downtown, sharp as a razor. If anybody could help me think this through, it was her. She picked up on the second ring. Ania. Hey, girl, what's... Mika. My voice was barely a whisper. I need your help. Right now. This is life or death. I'm not exaggerating. Silence on the other end. Then her voice changed. Got serious. Got focused. Ania. Where are you? What's happening? I'm at home. Listen to me carefully because I don't have much time. I glanced back through the glass door. Marcus was still in the kitchen. Marcus is planning to kill me. Tonight. Through the food. I saw the texts on his phone. Someone sent him something, poison, I think. Said it would look like a heart attack. What? Tamika's voice cracked. Ania, are you sure? Maybe you misread. I took screenshots. I'm sending them to you right now. I pulled the phone away from my ear, forwarded the images, put it back. Mika, I'm looking at these messages. Black and white. Dissolves with no taste or smell. Takes effect in 3 to 4 hours. Looks like a heart attack. No one will be able to prove anything. I took a breath. I'm not crazy. This is real. I heard her gasp as she opened the screenshots. Oh my God. Oh my God, Ania. Her voice was shaking now. You need to leave. Right now. Don't eat anything, don't drink anything, just get out of there and come to my place. If I leave, he'll know something's wrong. He'll delete the messages, get rid of whatever he put in the food, and then it's my word against his. He'll say I'm paranoid. Stressed. Having some kind of breakdown. I shook my head even though she couldn't see me. No. I need witnesses. I need to catch him in the act so there's no way he can deny it. That's dangerous, Ania. That's so dangerous. You know what's more dangerous? Eating what he cooked. Tamika was quiet for a moment. I could practically hear her lawyer brain working. Okay, she said finally. Okay. If you're going to do this, you need to do it right. You need people there, people he can't turn away without looking suspicious. Family, neighbors, whoever. Make it seem spontaneous, like you just remembered some anniversary and decided to celebrate. What anniversary? Anything. 15 years since y'all met. 10 years since you moved in. Make something up. The point is, you need bodies in that apartment. Witnesses. And police? Yes. If you know anybody, a community officer, somebody from the precinct, even a security guard, get them there. Some excuse. Tell them you've seen suspicious activity in the building, you want to talk about safety, whatever. Just get someone with authority in that room. I nodded, my mind racing. What else? Record everything. Your phone has a voice memo app, use it. From the moment dinner starts, I want every word captured. If he pressures you to eat, if he gets frustrated when you don't, all of that is evidence. Okay. Okay, I can do this. Ania. Her voice softened. If anything goes wrong, anything at all, you call 911 immediately. Promise me. I promise. And call me the second it's over. I don't care what time it is. I will. Mika, thank you. You might be saving my life tonight. Just stay smart. Stay safe. I love you. Love you too. I hung up, slipped the phone back in my pocket, and stood there for another moment, looking out at the city. Somewhere out there, people were having regular Friday nights. Dates at restaurants. Movie nights with their kids. Nobody wondering if their spouse was about to murder them. But I didn't have time for self-pity. I had calls to make. I went back inside, walked past the kitchen, Marcus glanced up, smiled at me, kept chopping vegetables, and closed myself in the bedroom. First call, Denise. Marcus's younger sister. She was a nurse at Grady Memorial, 3 years younger than him, and honestly, I'd always liked her more than I liked him, especially lately. We'd grab lunch sometimes, text each other funny memes, vent about life. She was good people. She picked up sounding tired. Hey, Ania. What's going on? Denise. Girl, I just realized, today is 15 years since me and Marcus first met. Can you believe that? He's in there cooking this whole big dinner, surprised me with it and everything. I thought it would be nice if you came by, helped us celebrate. Around 7? Wait, for real? She sounded surprised. That's so sweet of him. I didn't even know he remembered stuff like that. A pause. I'm supposed to go into work at 9, but I could swing by for a little bit. You sure I won't be intruding? Girl, please. Your family. It would mean a lot to have you here. All right then. I'll be there. Should I bring anything? Just yourself. We got plenty. One down. Next call, Miss Dorothy. Miss Dorothy Mae Johnson lived one floor up from us. 73 years old, been in this building longer than anybody. She knew everybody's business but kept it to herself, went to church every Sunday at Big Bethel AME, and made the best pound cake in the state of Georgia. I helped her with groceries sometimes, checked in on her when the weather got bad. Hello? Her voice was warm, a little gravelly. Miss Dorothy, it's Ania from downstairs. How you doing this evening? Oh, hey, baby. I'm blessed. Just sitting here watching my shows. What can I do for you? Well, me and Marcus are having a little get-together tonight. Kind of a last-minute thing, an anniversary. I was hoping you might come down for some dinner, keep us company for a bit. An anniversary? Well, isn't that nice? I could hear the smile in her voice. What time? Around 7, if that works for you. I suppose I could come down for a little while. My knee's been acting up, but I'll manage. You need me to bring anything? I got some pound cake left over from Sunday. Miss Dorothy, that would be perfect. We'd love to have you. All right then, sugar. See you at 7. 2 down. I made 2 more calls, Jasmine and Derek, from my job. Jasmine worked in the cubicle next to mine at the insurance company, Derek was in accounting. Both good people, the type who'd show up for a coworker without asking too many questions. Jasmine squealed when I told her about the surprise anniversary dinner. Oh my gosh, that's so romantic. Girl, yes, I'll be there. This is exactly the kind of positive energy I need on a Friday night. Derek was more hesitant. Tonight? I was gonna just chill, watch the game. Come on, Derek. Free food. Good company. I promise you won't regret it. All right, fine. But only because you asked nice. 3, 4. One more call to make. The most important one. Officer James Washington. He wasn't exactly a friend, but I knew him from around the neighborhood. He was the community liaison officer for our precinct, showed up at block meetings, checked in on the seniors, the type of cop who actually seemed to care about the people he served. We'd chatted a few times in the hallway, at the corner store. I found his number on a flyer from the last neighborhood watch meeting, dialed it. Officer Washington speaking. Officer Washington, this is Ania Brooks. I live over in the West End, building on Ashby Street. We've met a few times at the community meetings. Oh, yes ma'am, I remember you. Everything all right? Well, I'm not sure. I lowered my voice, made myself sound worried. I've been seeing someone hanging around our building the past few days. A man I don't recognize. He's been standing on the stairwell, looking at doors, acting suspicious. A few of my neighbors mentioned it too. I was wondering, would you be able to stop by this evening? I'll be home around 7. I'd feel better if I could talk to you about it, maybe get some advice on what to look out for. That does sound concerning. I can swing by around 7, take a look around, get a description from you. Thank you so much, officer. I really appreciate it. No problem. That's what I'm here for. See you this evening. I hung up. 5 witnesses. A police officer. A recording app ready to go on my phone. The trap was set. I sat on the edge of the bed for a moment, hands trembling now that I'd stopped moving. The adrenaline was wearing off, and the reality of what I was doing, what I was about to do, hit me full force. In a few hours, I was going to sit at a table with the man who wanted me dead. I was going to watch him try to feed me poison while smiling in my face. And I was going to make sure everyone saw exactly who he really was. Lord, give me strength. I stood up, walked to the closet, and pulled out the small digital recorder I'd kept since my college days, used to use it for lectures, interviews for the school paper. I checked the battery. Still worked. I'd slip it into my pocket when the time came. Marcus wasn't going to get away with this. Not tonight. Not ever. From the kitchen, I heard his voice call out. Ania! Baby, you okay in there? I took a breath. Steadied myself. Put on the mask. I'm fine, babe. Just freshening up. Be out in a minute. You got this, Ania. You got this. I hung up with Officer Washington and let out a long breath. 5 guests. 1 police officer. Recorder ready. Now came the hard part, pretending I didn't know my husband was trying to kill me. First things first. I went to the closet, pulled out the fireproof lockbox where I kept all the important papers. The deed to the apartment, Grandma Essie's place, left to me when she passed, long before I ever met Marcus. My life insurance policy. The one Marcus had convinced me to get a few months back. It's just smart planning, baby. God forbid something happens to you, at least there'd be some financial security. I remembered signing those papers. Remembered how attentive he'd been, how he'd brought me coffee while I filled out the forms. At the time, I thought he was being thoughtful. Now I knew better. I stuffed the documents into my purse, zipped it up, and shoved it under the bed. If something went wrong tonight, at least the evidence of what he stood to gain would be safe. Then I grabbed the digital recorder. Pressed the button, watched the red light blink on, whispered a few words, played it back. My own voice, clear as day. Good. It works. I slipped it into the pocket of my cardigan hanging on the bedroom door. When dinner started, I'd transfer it to whatever I was wearing. Every word Marcus said tonight would be captured. Ania! Come here, baby. His voice floated in from the kitchen. Cheerful. Eager. I closed my eyes for a second. Lord, help me do this. Then I walked out there. The kitchen smelled rich, garlic, butter, something creamy bubbling on the stove. Marcus stood at the counter with a wooden spoon in his hand, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. On the table, a Caesar salad already dressed, a basket of warm bread, a bottle of red wine breathing next to 2 glasses. Come taste this, he said, holding out the spoon. Some kind of shrimp pasta in a white wine sauce, one of his specialties from back when he used to actually cook for me. Tell me if it needs more Parmesan. I looked at that spoon. Looked at the creamy sauce coating it. And my stomach turned to ice. What if it's already in there? What if this is a test? Actually. I put my hand to my jaw, winced a little. My tooth's been bothering me. Since yesterday. Hot stuff makes it worse. Let me try it later when it cools down. His smile flickered. Just for a second. Your tooth? Since when? Yesterday. I thought it would go away, but... I shrugged. It's manageable. Don't worry about it. He set the spoon down, walked over to me, put his hands on my shoulders. Those hands that used to make me feel safe. Baby, you should see a dentist. I can drive you tomorrow if you want. No. It's fine. I'll call Dr. Patterson on Monday if it doesn't get better. I made myself smile. I don't want anything to ruin our special night. He kissed the top of my head. Gentle. Loving. Monster. Oh, by the way, I said, keeping my voice light, casual, like the thought had just occurred to me. I was thinking, today's actually 15 years since we first met. Remember? November 25th, that party at Keisha's place in Decatur? Marcus paused. Frowned slightly, like he was searching his memory. November 25th, yeah, that's right. I forgot the exact date. Me too, honestly. It just hit me earlier. I leaned against the counter, watching him carefully. So I called Denise. Invited her to come celebrate with us. Around 7. The change was subtle. But I saw it. His jaw tightened. Something dark flickered in his eyes, just for a heartbeat, before he smoothed it over with a smile that didn't quite reach. Denise? Oh. That's nice. She's got work at 9, so she'll only stay an hour or so. I figured it'd be good to see her. We haven't all been together in a while. No, yeah, of course. He turned back to the stove, stirring the pot with a little more force than necessary. I just thought it'd be the two of us tonight. You know. Romantic. It will be. After. I walked up behind him, wrapped my arms around his waist, pressed my cheek against his back. I could feel his heart beating, fast, uneven. Besides, she's your sister. She'd be hurt if she found out we celebrated without her. You're right. His voice was tight. Controlled. It's fine. But it wasn't fine. I could feel the tension radiating off him like heat from the stove. Oh, and I also invited Miss Dorothy from upstairs. He went still. Miss Dorothy? Poor thing is always alone. I thought it'd be nice to include her. I kept my tone sweet, innocent. She's bringing some of her pound cake. Marcus turned around slowly. His face was pleasant enough, but his eyes were cold. Ania. Baby. I cooked all this for us. A romantic dinner. Just the two of us. And now we've got my sister coming, and the old lady from upstairs. She's not just the old lady, Marcus. She's Miss Dorothy. She's been living in this building since before we were born. It's the neighborly thing to do. He opened his mouth. Closed it. His hands were gripping the edge of the counter so hard I could see the tendons straining. Fine. You're such a good man. I smiled at him, patted his chest, and stepped back. It'll be fun. And like I said, we'll have all night after they leave. For a long moment, he just stared at me. Like he was trying to figure something out. Trying to see behind my eyes. Then he exhaled, turned back to the stove. All right. I'll make more food then. Thank you, baby. I walked out of the kitchen, and the second I was out of his line of sight, my hands started shaking again. In the bathroom, I closed the door, turned on the faucet to cover any sound, and braced myself against the sink. My reflection stared back at me. Pale. Wide-eyed. A woman on the edge. You can do this. You have to do this. I splashed cold water on my face. Once. Twice. Took deep breaths until my heart slowed down. Dried my face with a towel, smoothed my hair, checked my expression. Calm. Normal. Unsuspecting wife. That's who you are right now. When I came out, Marcus was standing in the living room doorway, watching me. Who else is coming? The question was casual. But his eyes weren't. Just a couple people from work. Jasmine and Derek. You've met them before, that company Christmas party a couple years ago? His jaw clenched. I watched the muscle twitch. So now it's a whole party. It's not a party, Marcus. It's just a few friends and family. 5 people, plus us. I sat down on the couch, picked up the remote like I was about to watch TV. Is that a problem? He stood there for a moment. Silent. I could practically see the calculations running behind his eyes. Too many witnesses. Plan ruined. What do I do now? No, he finally said. No problem. I'll just get more plates out. He disappeared back into the kitchen. A few seconds later, I heard cabinet doors opening and closing with more force than necessary. The clatter of dishes. A muttered curse under his breath. Good. Let him be angry. Let him be frustrated. Because his anger meant his plan was falling apart. I pulled out my phone, typed a quick text to Tamika. Guests invited. 5 total plus cop at 7. Recorder ready. M is nervous but holding it together. His mask slipping. What else should I do? Her response came fast. Do not be alone with him. Not for 1 second. Don't eat or drink anything. When people arrive, stay close to them. And the moment you feel unsafe, call 911. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. I'm praying for you. I read it twice. Then deleted the thread, couldn't risk Marcus seeing it. The clock on the wall said 6:15. 45 minutes until the first guest arrived. 45 minutes of pretending. Of smiling. Of playing the happy wife while my husband plotted my death in the next room. I could do this. I had to do this. The clock on the wall said 6:32. 28 minutes. I stood at the window, looking out at the darkening street. In the glass, I could see my reflection, faint, almost transparent, like a ghost of myself. Like I was already halfway gone. No. I was here. I was alive. And I intended to stay that way. Behind me, I heard footsteps. Marcus's voice, smooth as silk. Baby, come here. Let's have a toast before everyone gets here. I turned around. He was standing there with 2 glasses of red wine. That same warm smile on his face. Holding 1 glass out toward me like an offering. Like a trap. Just the 2 of us, he said. To 15 years. To us. I looked at that wine. Dark red, almost black in the dim light. Swirling gently in the glass. What if it's in there? What if he's trying to get to me before the witnesses arrive? Actually. I pressed my fingers to my temple. I've got a headache coming on. The wine might make it worse. Let's wait until everyone's here, do a proper toast together. His smile faltered. His eyes narrowed, just slightly. First your tooth hurts, now your head? He tilted his head, studying me. What's going on, Ania? Careful. Careful. Nothing's going on. I made myself laugh, soft and tired. I'm just exhausted. You know I spent half the day at Mama's, lifting boxes, going up and down those stairs. I'm worn out. He stared at me. Long, hard. Like he was trying to see through my skin to whatever was underneath. Then he lifted his own glass, took a slow sip, and set both glasses down on the coffee table. All right. I'll go finish the salad. He walked back to the kitchen without another word. I exhaled. My hands were trembling. He's getting suspicious. I need to be more careful. The doorbell rang at 6:47. I jumped, checked the clock, someone was early. When I opened the door, Denise was standing there with a bouquet of sunflowers and a box of chocolates from that little shop on Edgewood. "Hey! I know I'm early, traffic was better than I expected." She smiled, that warm, open smile that always reminded me why I liked her so much more than her brother. "Happy anniversary, girl." "Denise, come in, come in." I hugged her tight, maybe a little tighter than usual, and took the flowers. "Thank you. These are beautiful." She stepped inside, shrugged off her jacket. Same dark eyes as Marcus, same deep brown skin, but everything else different. Where he was hard edges and hidden calculations, she was soft and genuine. A healer by nature, that's why she became a nurse. "Where's my brother at?" "Kitchen. Go say hi." She headed that way, and I heard them greeting each other. Marcus's voice pitched up with fake enthusiasm. "Sis. So good to see you." Hugs, laughter. He was good at this. Playing the part. Nobody would ever suspect. But I knew. And soon, everyone else would too. The doorbell rang again. Miss Dorothy, right on time, holding a Tupperware container. "I know you said don't bring nothing, but I couldn't come empty-handed." She handed me the container. I could smell the butter and vanilla through the lid. "Pound cake. Made it fresh this morning." "Miss Dorothy, you're a blessing. Come on in." She moved slowly, leaning on her cane, but her eyes were sharp as ever. She looked around the apartment, nodded approvingly. "Y'all got it nice in here." "Real nice." I helped her to the couch, got her settled with a cup of tea. Marcus came out, greeted her with that practiced smile, complimented her dress. She patted his hand, told him he was a good boy. "If only you knew." Jasmine and Derek arrived within minutes of each other. Jasmine swept in like a burst of color, yellow dress, big earrings, that infectious laugh of hers. "Happy anniversary, lovebirds." 15 years, that's real love right there. Derek was quieter, more reserved. He handed Marcus a bottle of champagne, nodded at me. "Appreciate the invite. Place looks great." The apartment was filling up now. Voices overlapping, laughter bouncing off the walls. Denise and Jasmine hit it off immediately, talking about some show on Netflix. Derek and Miss Dorothy got into a conversation about the Falcons season. Marcus moved through the room like a perfect host, refilling drinks, offering appetizers, cracking jokes. But I watched him. I watched the way his eyes kept darting to the door. The way his smile didn't quite reach all the way. The way his jaw tightened every time someone new arrived. His plan was crumbling. And he knew it. At 7:35, the doorbell rang one more time. When I opened it, Officer James Washington was standing there in full uniform. Badge gleaming. Radio on his hip. That calm, steady presence that good cops have. "Evening, Ms. Brooks. Sorry I'm a little late, had to finish up some paperwork at the precinct." "No problem at all, officer. Please, come in." I stepped aside to let him through. And I saw Marcus's face. He'd come out of the kitchen when the bell rang, probably expecting another harmless guest. But when he saw that uniform, saw a police officer walking into his apartment on the very night he'd planned to murder his wife. For just a second, his mask slipped. I saw the fear. Then he pulled himself together, forced that smile back on. "Officer. Good evening." He came forward, extended his hand. "Is everything all right?" Officer Washington shook his hand, calm and professional. "Mr. Brooks. Your wife called earlier about some suspicious activity in the building. Figured I'd stop by, get some details, take a look around." Marcus turned to me. His eyes were cold. His voice was tighter than before. "Ania. You called the police? Why didn't you tell me?" I didn't want to worry you. I smiled sweetly. You were so busy with dinner. Besides, it's probably nothing. But better safe than sorry, right? He stared at me. I stared right back. Something passed between us in that moment. Something unspoken. I know what you're doing. And I'm not going to let you. Officer Washington settled into a chair by the window. I brought him a glass of sweet tea, which he accepted with a grateful nod. Now, Ms. Brooks, he said, pulling out a small notepad. Tell me about this suspicious individual you've been seeing. I sat across from him, hands folded in my lap. I needed to be convincing. Needed to keep him here as long as possible. First time I noticed him was about 4 days ago. I was coming home from work, around 7 o'clock. He was standing in the stairwell on our floor, leaning against the wall, smoking a cigarette. I thought maybe he was waiting for someone, but when I looked through the peephole 15 minutes later, he was still there. Can you describe him? Mid-30s, I'd say. Medium height. Dark complexion. Had on a black hoodie, jeans. Short hair, kind of faded on the sides. I was making it up as I went, but I kept my voice steady, my details specific. What bothered me was the way he looked at me. Like he was studying me. Taking mental notes. Officer Washington wrote it all down. And you've seen him since? Twice more. Once the next morning when I was leaving for work, he was coming down the stairs, looked right at me. And again last night, same spot in the stairwell. Miss Dorothy, I turned to the elderly woman, you mentioned you'd seen someone too, right? She nodded, setting down her teacup. That's right, officer. Just a few days ago. I was on the phone with my granddaughter, stepped out into the hall to get better reception, and there he was. Standing right there by the elevator. I asked him, "Can I help you, young man?" And he just said, "Wrong floor," and walked off. But something about him didn't sit right with me. Had cold eyes, you know what I mean? Officer Washington nodded, still writing. Marcus stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed. I could see the tension in his shoulders. His jaw was so tight I thought his teeth might crack. Could have been a delivery driver, he said. Or maintenance. This is a big building. People come and go all the time. The officer looked up at him. That's possible. But we've had a few break-ins in this neighborhood recently. Better to investigate than to ignore it. Of course. Marcus's voice was flat. Safety first. I appreciate you coming, officer, I said. It really makes me feel better having someone official look into it. That's what I'm here for. He closed his notepad, but made no move to leave. Mind if I stay a few minutes? Wouldn't mind getting a layout of the building, maybe talking to a few other residents. Of course. Please, stay as long as you like. We're about to have dinner, you're welcome to join us. Marcus's eye twitched. Almost imperceptibly, but I caught it. I wouldn't want to impose. It's no imposition at all, I said firmly. We've got plenty of food. Right, Marcus? He paused. Every eye in the room was on him. Right. Plenty of food. Marcus walked back to the kitchen. I heard him pulling out plates, more plates than he'd planned for, setting them down harder than necessary. A muttered curse under his breath. I caught Denise's eye. She looked confused, glancing between me and the kitchen. I just smiled. The trap was sprung. The witnesses were in place. The recording app on my phone was running silently in my pocket. Now we just had to get through dinner. Officer Washington tucked his notepad away but didn't stand up. I'll make sure to pass this description along to the other officers in the area. We'll increase patrols around here for the next few weeks. Thank you so much, officer. I slipped his card into my pocket. I feel safer already. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, that forced smile still plastered on his face. I just think Ania might be overreacting a little. She's been stressed lately. Work's been hard on her, you know how it is. I turned to look at him. Slow. Deliberate. Stress? What does stress have to do with anything? I saw someone suspicious. Miss Dorothy saw him too. That's not stress, that's facts. He held up his hands, backing off. I'm not saying you made it up. I'm just saying we should look at things rationally. Denise frowned at her brother. Marcus, that's a weird thing to say. Ania did the right thing calling the police. Better safe than sorry. I agree with your wife, Officer Washington added, his voice calm but firm. In this neighborhood, we've had some issues. Vigilance is never a bad thing. Marcus's jaw clenched. For a moment, I thought he might say something else, something stupid, but he caught himself. Just nodded. You're right. Of course. Safety first. Then he turned and walked back to the kitchen. A few seconds later, I heard dishes clattering, something sizzling on the stove. He came back out carrying a big casserole dish, the shrimp and pasta he'd been working on all evening. Set it down on the table with a heavy thud. His face was flushed. Sweat beading on his forehead. All right, everybody, he said, trying to sound cheerful but not quite getting there. Dinner's ready. Let's eat while it's hot. We all gathered around the table. Marcus sat at the head, of course he did. I sat across from him, where I could watch his every move. The others filled in the sides, Denise next to me, Officer Washington on my other side. Miss Dorothy, Jasmine, Derek spread around the rest. As everyone settled in, I slipped my hand into my pocket, found my phone, and pressed record on the voice memo app. Then I transferred it to the pocket of my cardigan, microphone facing out. Everything from this moment forward would be captured. Marcus poured wine into glasses, his hands shaking so bad that some splashed onto the white tablecloth. Red spreading on white like. I stopped that thought before it could finish. Careful there, brother. Denise reached over, took the bottle from him. Let me do that. You sit down, rest. You look worn out. I'm fine, he snapped. Then caught himself, softened his voice. Sorry. Just been a long day. Wanted everything to be perfect. Derek raised his glass. Well, let's toast to the hosts. 15 years together, that's real commitment right there. To Marcus and Ania. To love. Jasmine added, grinning. Everyone lifted their glasses. Marcus's eyes locked onto mine across the table. Dark. Intense. Almost hateful. I raised my glass to my lips. And didn't drink. Just touched the rim to my mouth, then set it back down. If there was something in that wine, I wasn't about to find out the hard way. The food started going around. Pasta. Salad. Garlic bread. Everyone loading up their plates, complimenting Marcus on how good everything smelled. Except me. I pushed things around with my fork. Took tiny portions. Made it look like I was eating when really, nothing was going past my lips. Marcus noticed. Of course he did. Ania, baby. His voice cut through the table chatter. You haven't touched the pasta. That's your favorite, I made it special for you. I know, babe. I'll get to it. I smiled. Mama filled me up with her cooking earlier. You know how she is. But you love this dish. He wasn't letting it go. I spent all afternoon on it. At least try some. I will. Just let me get through the salad first. Denise had already taken a big bite of the pasta. She made an appreciative sound. Marcus, this is amazing. Seriously, you could open a restaurant. Thank you. But he wasn't looking at his sister. He was looking at me. Miss Dorothy was eating too, nodding along. Hum. Delicious, baby. You got a gift. Jasmine and Derek were digging in. Even Officer Washington had taken a few polite forkfuls. Everyone was eating. Everyone except me. Ania, you're barely touching your food. Denise leaned over, concern in her eyes. You feeling okay? A little lightheaded, I admitted. It wasn't even a lie, the stress was making my head swim. Might be my blood pressure acting up. You should lie down. I can take you to the bedroom. No. I'm fine. I just need to sit for a minute. Marcus suddenly stood up, grabbed the wine bottle, and walked around the table to my side. Here. He poured a full glass, pushed it toward me. Drink this. It'll help your circulation. I looked at the wine. Looked at him. Marcus, I told you. My head hurts. Alcohol will make it worse. One sip won't hurt. Come on. He was standing over me now, too close, that smile on his face, but his eyes were desperate. Just drink it. She said no, Marcus. Denise's voice was sharp. Why are you pushing? I'm trying to help my wife. He slammed his palm on the table. Everyone flinched. What's wrong with that? Silence. Heavy, uncomfortable silence. Officer Washington set down his fork, watching Marcus with a new kind of attention. The kind cops get when something doesn't add up. Jasmine and Derek exchanged glances. Miss Dorothy's eyes went wide. And I saw the mask finally starting to crack. I need some water, I said, standing up. I'll be right back. I walked toward the kitchen. And just like I knew he would, Marcus followed me. The second we were through the door, away from the guest's line of sight, his whole demeanor changed. The fake smile disappeared. His face twisted with rage. What are you doing? He grabbed my arm, spun me around. Why did you invite all these people? Why is there a cop in my house? Our house, I corrected, pulling my arm back. And I told you, I wanted to celebrate our anniversary. Bullshit. He stepped closer, backing me against the counter. You're up to something. I can see it in your face. You've been weird all night. Why won't you eat? Why won't you drink? I'm not hungry. You're lying. He grabbed my shoulders, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. What do you know, Ania? What did you see? I looked into his eyes I'd looked into for 15 years, eyes I'd loved once, and saw nothing but a stranger. A desperate, dangerous stranger. Let go of me. Not until you tell me. The kitchen door swung open. Denise stood there, frozen, taking in the scene. Her brother's hands on me. The fear on my face. The fury on his. Marcus. Her voice was low, horrified. What the hell is going on? He let go of me instantly, stepped back, held up his hands. Nothing. Nothing's going on. We were just. I saw you grab her. Denise moved into the kitchen, positioning herself between us. I saw you, Marcus. What is wrong with you? It was a misunderstanding. Ania. Denise turned to me, eyes searching. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? I rubbed my shoulder where his fingers had dug in. There would be bruises tomorrow. I'm fine, I said quietly. But I think it's time everyone knew what's really going on here. Marcus's face went pale. Ania. Don't. I looked at him one last time. This man I'd married. This man I'd trusted. This man who had planned to watch me die tonight and collect the check afterward. It's too late, Marcus. And I walked back out to face the guests. Officer Washington stepped into the kitchen doorway, his hand resting casually near his radio. Not grabbing it, not yet, but ready. Everything all right in here? Marcus wiped his face with his palm, tried to compose himself. Yes. Fine. I'm just tired. Work's been a lot lately. He pushed past his sister and the officer, walked back into the living room. His shoulders were shaking, whether from anger or something else, I couldn't tell. I followed him out. Denise and Officer Washington right behind me. The guests had gone silent. Everyone could feel it, that thick, heavy energy in the room. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. I'm sorry, everyone, I said, lowering myself onto the couch. My legs felt like they might give out. Marcus and I had a misunderstanding. I didn't mean for it to happen in front of y'all. Jasmine shifted uncomfortably. Maybe we should go? Give y'all some privacy? No. My voice came out stronger than I expected. Please. Stay. I need you to stay. I took a breath. I need witnesses. Witnesses? Derek frowned. Ania, what are you talking about? Marcus came out of the kitchen. In his hands was a cake. A beautiful red velvet cake with cream cheese frosting, my favorite. He must have bought it special. For the occasion. For after. He set it down on the table. His hands weren't shaking anymore. His face was blank. Empty. Like a man who'd already accepted his fate. Dessert, he said, his voice flat. Since we're all here, might as well have cake. Denise walked up to her brother, touched his arm. Marcus. Talk to me. What's going on? Why are you acting like this? He looked at her. And for the first time all night, I saw something real in his eyes. Tears. I'm sorry, Nisi, he whispered. I'm so sorry. For everything. Sorry for what? Marcus, you're scaring me. I stood up. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. But my hands were steady as I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots I'd saved. I can explain, I said. I can explain everything. Every eye in the room turned to me. Officer Washington straightened in his chair, alert now. Denise stood frozen by her brother's side. Jasmine, Derek, Miss Dorothy, all of them watching, waiting. And Marcus. Marcus stood there like a statue, staring at the phone in my hands like it was a loaded gun. This afternoon, I began, and my voice didn't shake, while my husband was in the kitchen cooking this beautiful dinner, I saw a message come through on his phone. It said, added everything like you asked. It'll start working right away. I paused. Let that sink in. I thought that was strange. So I looked at the rest of the conversation. I turned the phone around, showed the screen to the room. Here's what I found. I started reading. Slowly. Clearly. Making sure everyone heard every word. You sure this is safe? No traces? Completely dissolves. No taste, no smell. Takes effect in 3 to 4 hours. Looks like a heart attack. Nobody will ever prove anything. Denise's hand flew to her mouth. A strangled sound escaped her throat. Jasmine whispered, "Oh my God." Miss Dorothy clutched her chest and started murmuring something, a prayer, maybe. Officer Washington stood up, crossed the room in 3 long strides, and held out his hand. "Let me see that." I handed him the phone. He studied the screenshots for a long moment. His face didn't change. Cops learned to hide their reactions, but I saw his jaw tighten. Then he looked up at Marcus. "This your conversation?" Marcus didn't answer. His face had gone gray. Ashen. Like all the blood had drained out of him. "I asked you a question." Officer Washington's voice was hard now. "Is this your phone? Your messages?" It's not what it looks like." "Then tell me what it is." "Tell all of us," I said, stepping forward. "Go ahead, Marcus. Explain to everyone here what you were planning to do tonight. Explain how you were going to poison me, your wife of 15 years, and make it look like a heart attack. Explain how you were going to collect the life insurance money and sell my grandmother's apartment and start fresh like I never existed. I wasn't. Don't you lie to me." The words tore out of me like fire. 15 years of love, of trust, of building a life together, and this is what it came to. This man standing in front of me, crying now, pathetic, caught in his own trap. "Tell them the truth, Marcus. Tell them." And he broke. He dropped to his knees right there in the middle of the living room. Tears streaming down his face. Hands pressed to his head like he was trying to hold himself together. "I didn't have a choice," he sobbed. "You don't understand. I'm in debt, bad debt. Hundreds of thousands. I borrowed from the wrong people, and they were going to kill me if I didn't pay. They gave me a deadline. They said if I didn't have the money by the end of the month, he choked on his words. I was scared. I was so scared. I didn't know what else to do. So you decided to kill me instead?" I was crying now too. I couldn't help it. The tears came hot and fast, burning tracks down my cheeks. "I loved you, Marcus. I trusted you. I slept next to you every night. I thought we were partners. I thought we were a team. And the whole time, you were planning to murder me? I didn't want to. But you were going to." I screamed it. Didn't care who heard. "You were going to sit across from me, watch me eat that food, watch me drink that wine, and then you were going to hold my hand while I died. You were going to call 911 and cry and tell them your wife just collapsed. And then you were going to cash that check and move on with your life like I was nothing. Like 15 years meant nothing." He had no answer. What could he say? Denise was sobbing now, backing away from her brother like she didn't recognize him. "Marcus, how could you? How could you?" Officer Washington already had his phone out, speaking low and fast into it. "This is Officer Washington, badge number 4471. I need a unit at 847 Ashby Street, apartment 3C. Suspect in custody for attempted homicide. Evidence on scene, requesting forensic team for food analysis." Marcus's head snapped up. "Wait, custody? But I didn't actually do anything. She's fine. Nothing happened." "Nothing happened because she found out," Officer Washington said, walking toward him. "Conspiracy to commit murder is still a crime. You planned it, you obtained the means to carry it out, and you intended to follow through. That's enough. But you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed for you." He pulled Marcus's arms behind his back. The click of the handcuffs was the loudest sound in the room. Marcus looked at me one last time. His eyes were red, swollen, desperate. "Ania, please." I turned away. There was nothing left to say. Nothing left between us but betrayal and broken promises. 10 minutes later, the apartment was full of cops. They photographed the table, the pasta, the salad, the cake, the wine. Bagged everything as evidence. One officer took my statement while another talked to the guests one by one. Denise sat in the corner, crying so hard she couldn't speak. I wanted to comfort her. She was a victim in this too, in her own way, but I didn't have the strength. Not yet. Jasmine held my hand. Miss Dorothy sat beside me, patting my knee, murmuring "Lord have mercy" over and over. Derek stood by the window, staring out at the street, not saying anything. Eventually, they took Marcus away. I watched from the doorway as two officers led him down the stairs, his hands cuffed behind his back, his head hanging low. He didn't look back. The man I married. The man I'd loved. Gone. Officer Washington came back up, spoke to me quietly. "Ms. Brooks, we're going to need you to come down to the precinct tomorrow to give a full statement. And we'll need access to your phone, the screenshots, the original messages if possible. Whatever you need. You did the right thing tonight. You're brave as hell." He shook his head slowly. "A lot of people wouldn't have been able to keep it together like you did." "I didn't have a choice," I said. "It was survive or die." "Well, you survived." After everyone left, the cops, the guests, even Denise, who hugged me for a long time and promised to call tomorrow, I stood alone in my apartment. The table was empty now. Crime scene tape across the kitchen door. Silence where there had been laughter and conversation just hours ago. I looked at the spot where Marcus had knelt and begged for forgiveness. Then I walked to the window, looked out at the city lights, and let myself cry. For the man I thought I knew. For the life I thought I had. For the 15 years that meant nothing to him in the end. But also, for myself. Because I was still here. Still breathing. Still alive. And that had to count for something. Jasmine held me while I cried. She didn't say anything for a long time. Just held me, rocked me a little, stroked my hair like my mama used to do when I was small and the world felt too big and too hard. "You did it, Ania," she finally whispered. "You saved your own life. You hear me? You saved yourself. 15 years. My voice came out broken, ragged. 15 years I gave him. And he was going to kill me for money. Derek stood by the window, arms crossed, shaking his head slowly. People do terrible things when they're desperate. But that doesn't excuse it. He made his choice. Now he's gonna pay for it. I sat on that couch, arms wrapped around myself, and looked around the apartment. My apartment. Grandma Essie's apartment. The place I'd lived my whole adult life, where Marcus and I had started our marriage, where we dreamed about the future, where I'd cried when I found out I couldn't have children, where he'd held me and told me it didn't matter. All lies. Now every corner of this place felt contaminated. Poisoned. Just like that food on the table. "I can't stay here," I said quietly. "I can't live here anymore. Every time I walk into that kitchen, I'm gonna see him standing there. Cooking. Smiling. Planning my death." Jasmine squeezed my hand. "Then you move. Sell this place, buy something new. Start over. Start over." I let out a hollow laugh. "At 42. Girl, 42 ain't old. You got your whole life ahead of you, and thanks to your quick thinking, you actually have a life ahead of you." She looked me dead in the eyes. "Don't let him take any more from you than he already tried to." I nodded slowly. She was right. I knew she was right. I looked at the table where the uneaten dinner still sat, now marked with crime scene tags. Tomorrow, they'd take it all away. Test it. Prove what Marcus had done. And then? Then I'd be free. Alone, but free. Alive. That had to be enough for now. I didn't sleep in that apartment. Tamika came and picked me up around midnight, wouldn't take no for an answer. Drove me to her place in Buckhead, set me up in her guest room with fresh sheets and a glass of wine I actually drank because I knew it was safe. "You're staying here as long as you need," she said firmly. "A week, a month, whatever. That apartment will be there when you're ready to deal with it." I slept hard that night. No dreams that I could remember, just deep, black, exhausted sleep. My body finally letting go of all the tension it had been holding for hours. Days, maybe. Months. The phone woke me up the next morning. I blinked at the unfamiliar ceiling, took a second to remember where I was. Tamika's guest room. Sunlight streaming through the blinds. The smell of coffee drifting in from the kitchen. I fumbled for my phone on the nightstand. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. "Ms. Brooks? This is Detective Sharon Williams with Atlanta PD Homicide Division. We need you to come down to the station today to give a formal statement. Would 11 o'clock work for you?" "Yes. Yes, I'll be there." I hung up, lay there for a moment staring at the ceiling. Homicide Division. Because that's what this was. Even though I was still breathing, this was a homicide case. An almost homicide. A murder that didn't happen only because I'd seen a text message at the right moment. 1 second later and the screen would have gone dark. 1 minute later and I would have missed it entirely. And tonight, I'd be in the morgue instead of this guest bed. Tamika drove me to the police station. Waited in the lobby while I went in. Detective Williams was a black woman around my age, maybe a few years older. Kind eyes, but sharp. The kind of cop who'd seen everything and wasn't easily fooled. She led me to a small room, offered me coffee, sat across from me with a notepad and recorder. "Start from the beginning," she said. "Take your time." So I did. I told her everything. How Marcus had changed over the past year, the distance, the coldness, the strange questions about my will and my insurance policy. How he'd suddenly decided to cook me this romantic dinner. How I'd seen that message on his phone and felt my whole world tilt sideways. I told her about the screenshots, the phone calls, the plan to gather witnesses. About watching him try to get me to eat, to drink, his desperation growing as I refused again and again. Detective Williams listened, wrote notes, asked follow-up questions. Professional and thorough. When I was done, she leaned back in her chair. "We've confirmed everything," she said. Pulled his phone records, recovered the deleted messages. "And we arrested his accomplice this morning." My heart stopped. His accomplice? Darnell Crawford, 38 years old. Worked at a pharmaceutical distribution warehouse on the south side. He's the one who got the poison for your husband. What? I swallowed hard. What was it? The poison? Digoxin-based compound. In high doses, it causes cardiac arrest. Mimics a heart attack almost perfectly. Without a specific toxicology screen, most coroners would never catch it. I felt the blood drain from my face. "We tested all the food and beverages from your apartment," she continued. "The wine, the bottle he kept pushing on you, tested positive. So did the frosting on the cake." "The cake?" "Yes, ma'am. He had a backup plan. If you didn't drink the wine, he figured you'd at least have dessert." She paused. "Your husband was thorough." I thought about that beautiful red velvet cake sitting on the table. My favorite. He knew it was my favorite. He'd poisoned my favorite. I left the police station in a daze. The sun was bright, one of those crisp late November days where the sky is so blue it almost hurts to look at. People walking by on the sidewalk, going about their lives. Cars honking. Someone laughing somewhere. Normal life. Normal day. Except my husband had tried to kill me, and the only reason I wasn't dead was luck. My phone buzzed. Missed calls from Denise, 3 of them. And a voicemail. I sat down on a bench outside the station, pressed play. Ania. Her voice was wrecked. Hoarse from crying. I went to see Marcus. At the jail. He wanted me to tell you he's sorry. He wants to talk to you. He says he'll explain everything if you just. I deleted it before she finished. A few seconds later, I called her back. Denise. Ania. Thank God. Listen, I know you're hurt, I know what he did is unforgivable, but he's my brother and he's begging to. No. Silence on the line. I'm not going to see him. Not now, not ever. I don't want to hear his explanations. I don't want his apologies. There is nothing he can say that will make this okay. Ania, please. Denise. I kept my voice steady, even though everything inside me was shaking. He was going to kill me. He put poison in my wine and my cake. If I hadn't seen that message, I would be dead right now, and he would be planning my funeral. There is no coming back from that. Do you understand? There is no coming back. She was crying again. I could hear it. I know, she whispered. I know. He's my brother. I don't know how to. I don't blame you, Denise. None of this is your fault. You didn't know. Nobody knew. I took a breath. But I can't have him in my life anymore. In any way. If you need to stay in his life, that's your choice. But don't ask me to do the same. I understand. Her voice was small. I'm so sorry, Ania. For everything. I know. Take care of yourself, Denise. I hung up. Sat there on that bench for a long time, watching the world go by. The divorce papers came through a week later. Marcus didn't fight it. His lawyer advised him that cooperation might help his criminal case, though we both knew nothing was going to help him much at that point. The apartment stayed mine. It had always been mine, Grandma Essie's legacy, willed to me long before I'd ever met Marcus Brooks. He'd lived there, but it was never his. Not legally. Not in any way that mattered. We divided what little else there was. Furniture. A car that was in both our names. Some savings. It didn't amount to much. 15 years of marriage, and this was all we had to show for it, paperwork and poisoned memories. The criminal trial was set for February. I gave my deposition in December. Sat in a cold conference room with lawyers on both sides and answered questions for 3 hours. Every detail of that night. Every message. Every moment. But when the trial itself came, I didn't go. Tamika went. Sat in the gallery, watched the whole thing, reported back to me every evening. He cried on the stand, she told me one night. Talked about the debt, the people threatening him. Said he didn't see any other way out. His lawyer tried to paint him as a victim. Did it work? No. She shook her head. The judge wasn't having it. Said planning to murder your wife for insurance money isn't something you can blame on circumstances. The verdict came down on a Thursday afternoon. Guilty. Attempted murder in the first degree. Sentencing, 12 years in state prison. His accomplice, Darnell Crawford, got 8 years for his role. 12 years, I said when Tamika told me. He'll be out when he's 57. And you'll be living your best life, she said. Moving on. Thriving. The best revenge is a life well lived, Ania. Don't forget that. I nodded. tried to believe her. But that night, I cried. Not for him. Not anymore. For the woman I used to be, who believed in love and marriage and happily ever after. For the 15 years I'd given to a man who saw me as nothing more than a payout. For all the could-have-beens that would never be. It's over now, Ania. You can breathe. Tamika set a cup of chamomile tea in front of me. We were sitting in her kitchen, had been sitting there for hours, actually, ever since she'd come back from the courthouse with the verdict. 12 years. Marcus got 12 years. I wrapped my hands around the warm cup, stared into the golden liquid. I know I should feel relieved, I said quietly. Justice was served, right? That's what everyone keeps telling me. But I just feel empty. Like something got ripped out of me, and now there's just this hole where it used to be. Tamika reached across the table, covered my hand with hers. That's trauma, baby. What you went through, it's not something you just bounce back from. The man you loved, the man you trusted with your life, tried to take it from you. That kind of betrayal, it changes you. It's gonna take time to heal. I've been having nightmares. I hadn't told anyone this yet. Every night, almost. I'm sitting at that table, and I eat the cake. And then I feel it starting, my heart racing, my chest tightening. And Marcus is just sitting there, watching me die. Smiling. I shuddered. Even in the warm kitchen, I felt cold. I took a breath. I think I need to talk to someone. A professional. I can't carry this by myself anymore. That's the smartest thing you've said all week. Tamika squeezed my hand. Therapy isn't weakness, Ania. It's strength. It takes a strong woman to admit she needs help. I started seeing Dr. Yvonne Patterson 2 weeks later. She was a black woman in her early 60s, silver locks, warm brown eyes, a voice like honey over gravel. She'd been practicing for 30 years, specialized in trauma and betrayal. Her office was in a brownstone in Midtown, full of plants and soft light and African art on the walls. The first session, I just cried. Couldn't get more than a few sentences out before the tears came. Dr. Patterson just sat with me, handed me tissues, didn't rush me. Take your time, she said. There's no schedule for grief. Over the weeks that followed, we started unpacking everything. Not just that night, but the years leading up to it. The distance that had grown between me and Marcus. The signs I'd ignored. The way I'd made excuses for his coldness, his irritability, his growing detachment. You're not just afraid of other people, Dr. Patterson said one afternoon. You're afraid of life itself. Afraid that if you let your guard down, you'll get hurt again. Can you blame me? I stared out her window at the gray December sky. I spent 15 years with a man and didn't know he was capable of murder. How am I supposed to trust anyone ever again? Let me ask you something. She leaned forward slightly. Were there signs? Looking back now, small things that didn't seem important at the time? I thought about it. Really thought. The way he'd stopped asking about my day. The irritation in his voice when I needed something from him. The way he'd started sleeping with his back to me. The questions about my will, my insurance, my grandmother's apartment. Yes, I admitted. There were signs. I just didn't want to see them. And what does that tell you? I was quiet for a moment. That my intuition knew. Even when my head didn't want to believe it. Dr. Patterson smiled gently. Your intuition saved your life, Ania. That night, when you saw that message, something in you knew. And you listened. You acted. You survived. She paused. Learning to trust yourself again, that's the first step. The rest will follow. Slowly, so slowly it felt like watching paint dry, I started to come back to myself. I went back to work after a month. My coworkers were kind, careful. Nobody asked invasive questions. Jasmine brought me coffee every morning. Derek made sure I always had lunch planned so I wouldn't sit alone. Mama came to visit every weekend. She'd cook, filling my freezer with containers of collard greens, mac and cheese, smothered chicken, all my childhood favorites. She'd clean, even though I told her she didn't have to. She'd just be there, sitting next to me on the couch, watching old movies, not saying anything unless I wanted to talk. She never said, "I told you so." Never reminded me of the doubts she'd had about Marcus in the beginning. She just loved me, the way mamas do, fierce and unconditional. "Baby girl," she said one evening, brushing a lock out of my face, "you walked through fire. But you came out the other side. You're still here. And you're going to be okay." "You really think so, Mama?" "I know so. You come from strong women, Ania. Your grandmother survived things you can't even imagine. So did I. And so will you." She cupped my face in her hands. "One day, you're going to love again. You're going to trust again. And it's going to be beautiful." "I don't know if I want to love again," I whispered. "You will. When you're ready. And the right person will be patient enough to wait." 6 months after the trial, I decided it was time. I couldn't keep living in that apartment the way it was. Every corner held a memory: Marcus's jacket on the hook by the door, his coffee mug in the cabinet, the knife block he'd bought, the cutting board where he'd chopped vegetables for my last meal. So I gutted it. I hired a crew to repaint every wall, soft creams and sage greens instead of the dark colors Marcus had chosen. Ripped out the old kitchen cabinets and put in new ones. Got rid of the furniture we'd bought together, replaced it with pieces that were mine: a plush velvet couch in deep burgundy, artwork from black artists I loved, plants everywhere. I burned sage in every room. Called my auntie to come pray over the space, the way the old folks did. When it was done, I stood in the middle of my living room and looked around. It didn't feel like the apartment where my husband had tried to kill me. It felt like home. Around that time, I started painting again. I'd loved art as a girl. Took classes all through high school, even considered going to SCAD before life took me in a different direction. But somewhere along the way, I'd stopped. Marriage, work, responsibilities, the brushes gathered dust in a closet, the canvases stayed blank. Now, I signed up for an adult painting class at a community center in the old 4th Ward. Tuesday and Thursday evenings, 3 hours of nothing but color and canvas and quiet. The instructor, Ms. Carolyn, was a retired art teacher with silver twists and paint-stained fingers. She walked around the room during class, offering gentle guidance, never criticism. "You've got a gift, Ania," she said one night, looking at my latest piece, a winter landscape, bare trees against a purple twilight sky. "The way you use color, the emotion in your brushstrokes. Keep going with this." For the first time in longer than I could remember, I felt something like joy. I started spending more time with Mama. Every Sunday, I'd drive out to her house in Cascade, and we'd cook together. She'd tell me stories about Daddy, how they met at a church picnic in 1972, how he proposed with a ring he'd saved up for 18 months to buy, how they'd built a life together brick by brick. "We had hard times," she said, stirring a pot of greens on the stove. "Lord knows we did. Times I wanted to walk out that door and never come back. But we always came back to each other. We were a team. That's what marriage is supposed to be." I looked at the photo on her windowsill, Mama and Daddy on their wedding day, young and beautiful and full of hope. "That's what I thought I had," I said quietly. "With Marcus. I thought we were a team." "I know, baby." She turned off the burner, came to sit beside me. "But what you had with Marcus wasn't love. Real love doesn't poison your food. Real love doesn't look at you and see dollar signs." She took my hand. "You'll know the difference, next time. I promise you will." A year passed. I woke up one Saturday morning in late November, almost exactly a year since that night, and realized something had changed. The nightmares had stopped. Not completely, but mostly. I could go days now without thinking about Marcus. The heaviness that had lived in my chest for so long had finally started to lift. I made myself a cup of coffee, stood at the window, watched the first snow of the season fall soft and quiet over the city. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something told me to pick up. Hello? Ania? Hey, this is Julian. From the painting class? I smiled. Julian Morris. Tall, dark-skinned, with kind eyes and a laugh that came easy. We'd talked a few times after class, about art, about life, about everything and nothing. Julian. Hey. What's up? So, a few of us from class are putting together a little exhibition at that gallery on Edgewood. Ms. Carolyn's idea. We wanted to showcase student work, and I was thinking, your pieces should definitely be in there. That winter landscape especially. It's beautiful. Really? I felt something flutter in my chest. You want my work in a gallery? Absolutely. You're talented, Ania. People should see what you can do. He paused. And, after we figure out the exhibition details, maybe we could grab coffee sometime? Just the two of us? I'd love to get to know you better. If you're interested. I was quiet for a moment. A year ago, I would have said no. Would have been too scared, too scarred, too certain that trusting anyone again would only lead to pain. But Dr. Patterson's voice echoed in my head, not everyone will hurt you. Don't let one person's betrayal close you off from the rest of your life. Yeah, I heard myself say. I'd like that. That evening, I called to Mika. Mika. Guess what? What? I think I'm starting to live again. I could hear the smile in her voice. Girl, you have no idea how long I've been waiting to hear you say that. This guy from my painting class invited me to coffee. And I said yes. What? She actually squealed. Ania Brooks. Look at you. Getting back out there. It's just coffee, I laughed. Don't start planning the wedding. I'm just saying, this is huge. A year ago, you wouldn't even leave your apartment. Now you're painting, you're going on dates. It's not a date. It's absolutely a date. And I'm proud of you. Her voice softened. You've come so far, Ania. You really have. I looked around my apartment, my beautiful, reclaimed apartment, full of light and art and life. Yeah, I said. I guess I have. That night, I dreamed. But it wasn't a nightmare. I was standing in a garden, spring, everything in bloom. Apple blossoms everywhere, pink and white against a perfect blue sky. The air smelled like flowers and fresh rain. And there was Daddy. He was standing under one of the trees, wearing his Sunday suit, smiling at me the way he used to when I was a little girl and he'd come home from work and scoop me up in his arms. Baby girl, he said. I'm so proud of you. Daddy? I walked toward him, tears streaming down my face. I missed you so much. I know. I've been watching over you. I saw everything you went through. And I saw how strong you were. He reached out, touched my cheek. You survived, Ania. You fought, and you won. Now it's time to live. Really live. Not just exist, but live. Can you do that for me? I'm trying, Daddy. I'm really trying. That's all I ask. He smiled, started to fade. I love you, baby girl. Always have, always will. Now go. Your spring is waiting. I woke up with tears on my pillow and a strange, unexpected feeling in my chest. Peace. I'm sitting in my kitchen as I tell you this story. It's been 2 years since that November night. 2 years since I looked at a text message and realized my husband wanted me dead. Marcus is still in prison. Will be for another 10 years, at least. I don't think about him much anymore. He's a closed chapter, a dark one, but closed. I sold some of my paintings last month. A gallery in Buckhead picked up 3 pieces. Mama cried when I told her. Said Daddy would have been so proud. Julian and I are still seeing each other. Taking it slow, real slow. He knows what I've been through. Knows I have scars that won't ever fully heal. And he's patient. Kind. He makes me laugh. He brings me flowers for no reason, and when he looks at me, I don't see calculation or greed. I see love. Am I scared? Sometimes. Some nights, the old fears creep back in. What if I'm wrong again? What if I'm missing signs? What if? But then I remember what Dr. Patterson told me, trust yourself. Your intuition saved your life once. It will guide you again. So I'm trusting. Slowly. Carefully. One day at a time. If you're reading this, if you're out there in a situation that feels wrong, if something in your gut is screaming at you to pay attention, listen. Don't ignore the signs. Don't make excuses. Don't convince yourself you're being paranoid. Because I almost died for not listening sooner. And I survived because, when it mattered most, I finally did. You are stronger than you know. You are braver than you feel. And you deserve a life where you don't have to be afraid. Winter doesn't last forever. Spring always comes.